Now I want to demonstrate sort of how you can combine some of the blending modes and layering of using extra things to actually enhance your edits, especially when you're doing music videos or commercials or really, pieces that have some emotional feel. There are some simple layering tricks that will look like you went out to After Effects to do them, but you actually did them in Premiere. It's all about having access to some of the ingredients and knowing how to blend those things together to tell a story. All right, so I want to show you this little piece I've already built. All right, and I'm going to make it big so you can see it. And here is the beginning of my edit. And that last little flare could have gone to a completely different shot, but I chose to end it there. So what am I actually doing? Well, let's break down our layers here, and then I will tell you what you need to import. All right. So if I turn off everything but the bottom layer, you see that I'm doing several things. First, I have her running, and it's actually sped up a little bit, so it has a lot of energy to it. All right. So how did I do speed controls? Well, if you don't know, you can right-click on a clip, and you can go to speed and duration. And I'm running this, which was a slow-mo clip, at 800% its original speed. So it was shot really slow. So it doesn't look ridiculously comically fast, but it's fast. It's closer to real speed, but I'm kind of taking the slow-mo off of it, is essentially what I did. Now I've got kind of a blast of that, and then we change direction. And I've got this slow run happening here. Now as we go on, we cut to another shot of her running, sun behind her, which is nice, and that sort of motivates some of our lens flares, so you probably want to favor shots that have some sunshine in them. All right, but it's a very basic cut. Fast, slow, tight. Pretty straightforward. The next layer, I have one thing going on, and that is I'm hiding an edit by having a piece of footage go over the top of that clip. And because that footage has a moment where it's almost completely blown out, it hides a cut and then fades back off. All right, so watch it as a pure playback. It's kind of nice. It motivates the cut, right? It sort of says you looked at her feet and then boom, you looked up and saw her face. So am I doing anything fancy in there? Well, I do have my blend mode. If I click on it and I zoom in a smidge here, if I click on it and go to the opacity controls, you can see my blend mode is set to screen. Now normally it would look like this, right? It'd be totally solid, and it's not going to work quite as well. I like the screen effect just to give me a little more of that natural, it's blending into the shot. Now notice I don't have any other keyframes set. I just basically layered it and then did a cross dissolve right here, right click on the end, put a dissolve on it. Right? And then I trimmed it back so that it is only as long as it needs to be to get to this moment, and then it fades back away. It's one shot. If I double click it so you can see the shot I chose from this moment. This whole scene is just a bunch of flashes and stuff that you can build with, and I chose this center section here because I felt like it had the most potential to overtake the screen, which is exactly what it does for me, which is pretty cool. All right. So let's go up a layer again. What do I have going on the next layer? Well, I've got some stuff going on here. I'm motivating the sun we're going to see when we get to this angle by putting in an effect. A little bit of a flaring, a little bit lens flare, a little bit of glitz and all that. What is it called? This says film burn transition with lens flare. So yes, it is two different phenomena in the same clip. If you load the source clip, you can see it looks like this. And I sort of chose a moment that I felt matched where we think the sun is, which is over coming from the left side. I don't want it to go too far to the right. It does a little bit, but I think you can sort of believe it. So I dropped it down here and I put dissolves on it. And of course I went into the effects controls, which I can't get to because this clip is so long. I've got to go to the little fast forward thing, hit effects controls. And yep, sure enough, there's good old screen again so that I get a nice blending of the two ingredients. All right, but it just basically makes this shot not feel as boring. You know, without it, it feels like we're just sitting here for a long time. And of course, depending on what the music's doing, maybe it would be okay to be there. But when you put this on there, you've already gotten people's attention with the speed change. Now you give it a little more and boom. You just sort of stalled and made something visual happen in that shot that wasn't originally there. Cool. All right, I'm actually going to save this track for our ending track. So that was sort of the middle track. Now we go to the ending track. And what do I have going on here? Well, I have this film texture with this little end of the reel sort of thing going on here. All right, so basically I'm blending it. So again, if I go to the effects controls, I can show you that it's on screen and that I sort of queued it up so that it would flash at the moment we change directions. That is the moment that was super bright. And of course, one method for doing that could be that I could go into the original clip and say, I think the biggest burst is right about here. I'll make an M for a marker, and then look at that, it puts it even in the timeline. So if I wanted to make sure that it's there, I could drop that in when I'm looking at the clip, drop it down here, it actually carries over into the timeline. And then I can just make sure that that moment is in fact the moment that aligns with my cut. And if I need to pull this back, I could, but it looks like I don't have any more to pull it back, so never mind, that didn't work. But you get the idea, right? And it's kind of cool because it has that film ran out feel. The change in speed is motivated. And then lastly, I had another shot that I liked, which was this one, another clip that I found, and it has some pretty bold flashing going on. And I thought, well, if I'm trying to be like protect myself, I want to make sure that it's going to be safe to use to go out of this shot to something else. So again, I did little marker moments on it right here and here that carry on down here, and I lined them up with the edit where the edit would need to be to go to another shot, dropped it in, and then I just put a cross dissolve on the front so it sort of comes in, and I could be, and as long as the blending mode is set right, which I'm going to double check, go to effects control, yep, set to screen, then any shot I put under here it would allow me to go to. So if for some weird reason I wanted to go back to that original shot, I just held down option and dragged it, and I could say, yeah, watch, now she'll into that again, right? Pretty cool. Yeah, it doesn't look like I sped it up that much because it was shot such extreme slow-mo. It just looks like somebody running. Anyway, but you get the idea. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to build a little montage using some music. I don't care what music you use, but put some music on it. And it can be short, not probably less than, say, 60 seconds. Give me a 1-minute edit with the shots. Now, where do you get your footage? Well, I'm going to show you. If you go to Import and you back up into Set 2, there are 2 folders you're going to want to pull into your project. Video Blocks Footage and Video Blocks Lens Flares. The footage is almost all workout stuff with sometimes with sunshine in the shot, so it's going to be just like the edit I showed you. And then the lens flares themselves are in here, and of course there's light leaks and lens flares. Choose whatever ones you want, but build a little montage piece just like you just saw me do that feels kind of magical because you're layering these things in on top. Okay, I would say my minimum requirements are make sure you hide at least one edit like I did here with a flash, and then probably do a little bit of doctoring over the top of some of the edits. So there should be some lens flares that happen over long shots, motivated usually by the sun. And then, of course, yes, try to give me at least a transition in there. All right. Good luck.